What's going on, Bitcoin accumulation country? My name is Phil. This is the Fun with Crypto podcast. We're in season 2, and this is episode 38. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. I've got a really interesting discussion with fellow Bitcoin plebe or pleb, Optimist Fields, or on Twitter, his handle is at my_living_truth. Anyways, we were just chatting back and forth one day, and all of a sudden I saw that he made this comment about how he got red-pilled by Dave Chappelle. So as soon as I saw that, I knew that I wanted to bug him and find out what was going on with that story and see if I could get him on my podcast. So anyways, without further ado, here's my awesome discussion with fellow Bitcoin pleb at My Living Truth. All right, Bitcoin accumulation country. I have fellow Bitcoin plebe joining me, or pleb. I never really know how to pronounce it, joining me tonight. He decided to come on this podcast. It was actually pretty interesting. I've always gone back and forth with him in Twitter, and he said this one thing that I found super cool, and I just absolutely wanted him to come on my show. So who am I talking about? It's at My Living Truth. Thank you for joining me tonight, man.
Hey, what's up, Clinicus?
What's going on?
What's up, Bitcoin flam out there?
Okay, so let me ask you this. Is it pleb or plebe?
I mean, I don't know. I say pleb, but I don't know. Everyone else says plebe, so I kind of use both.
Yeah, exactly. I use them interchangeably, so I'm never really sure, you know? I was always wondering what other plebs or plebes thought. Yeah,
it's like when I say it about myself, it's always Bitcoin pleb, but when I'm like kind of joking, I'm always saying plebe. I don't know. I don't know why I do that, but
it just sounds better, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice, sporting the lightning torch mug.
Yeah.
Represent.
And the Run LND shirt,
Nice.
Shout out to Bill Burns. And yeah, Ellen Truss fam over here.
Which number were you?
I forget. I think I was 47.
I always have to go 47. Back and check. 47?
Yeah.
Very cool.
That was me.
I was, I think, 26 or 27. I don't know. But anyways, yeah. Okay. So people always hear my BS. Let's hear. Everybody always gets to hear the official rabbit hole stories, and everybody wants to know like why other people got into Bitcoin, because everybody knows why they got into it. But so for the Bitcoin fam out there, what's your rabbit hole story before Bitcoin? What was My Living Truth up to, and how did he find Bitcoin?
Well, before Bitcoin, I was just bullshitting, to be honest. Can we cuss? I'm sorry, I should ask first. All right. Yeah, I wasn't really doing much, just like studying things I was interested in. But my Bitcoin story actually starts in college. But I wasn't one of those I wasn't a lucky dude that got in early. I just in 2008 is like when I became an adult. I graduated high school, and I knew one thing: I'm going to college, because it was either work or go to college. So for me, it was like, all right, that's a no-brainer. I'm gonna go to school, follow the American dream, and do all that good stuff. Because my family is basically all self-employed, entrepreneurs, and so I figured, go to college, do business school, like the easy road from there. And then I just absolutely hated business classes. I didn't like any of the stuff that they were telling me to do. I took some basic economics classes, and I'm like, all this shit is ass backwards. Like this isn't for me. So I happened by chance and by luck to fall into this philosophy course as an elective. And my professor, I like to call him the rogue professor, because he had this monologue, and he just went in, and it was supposed to be philosophy, but all he really talked about was fractional reserve banking and OPEC and the petrodollar, and how all the significance and how that affected our what we're experiencing at that time in 2008. And it just sent me down this path of at the time, I kind of thought it was conspiracy theories, because no one else was saying anything like that except for him. And so I just kept studying. I'm like, oh shit, he's telling me these secrets, I thought I knew these secrets, and I was like, oh, I know so much. But I didn't know anything except for I knew how banking worked, and I basically forgot it. It was 10 years ago, and everyone at my school was basically socialist, and so I kind of went down all those conspiracy, those intellectual traps, and just eventually was just not really doing anything and trying to like work as little as possible and just study as much as possible, because I was one of those like people that was like aiming for the higher ideals and intellectual arts and all that. So I just was always studying. And then, life kind of was getting a little hard, like I'm like, damn, this shit sucks. I need to make money. I need to do something. I need to make a business or something. And then it was 2017 and Bitcoin just hit 10K. And, I fell into the whole like, came for the gains and stayed for the sound money. And so I like saw 10K, heard it, I don't know how I heard it, but I heard about it, and then I had my cousin come over, and he's younger than me, and he happened to like buy Xanax on Silk Road when he was like 14 or some shit, and I'm all like, what? My little cousin, like he knows what Bitcoin is and I don't. And so I almost like instantly jumped into like Bitcoin that night, and I went down the rabbit hole and was watching hours of Andreas Antonopoulos videos on YouTube and read both of the Internet of Money books, and just like went down the whole rabbit hole and was just like, this is amazing. Because like I've always kind of been one of those like fuck the man kind of dudes, and growing up it was just like, man, we have a bad hand, and so I always tried to figure it out. And then I found Bitcoin, and it was like, oh my god, all these people are just like me. They see what I see and they know more than I do, and it was like, yep, this is where I need to be. And I found it, and I just like, I haven't popped out of the rabbit hole yet. But at a certain point when I got into Bitcoin in 2017, I went down the shitcoin path on Twitter, because everyone on Twitter is like, Bitcoin's MySpace and my, transactions per second and scaling and new paradigms and all that. And I'm sitting there like complete noob, completely green, and just following really bad advice. And so I went down the shitcoin path for, I don't know, probably like 3, 4, 5 months or something like that, and just getting totally wrecked, just like losing basically half the stack that I initially got shitcoin gambling. And at a certain point, it just like, it was too much for me. I think my parents and family were like, dude, you were like physically, or not physically, like you could tell that you were depressed, because like I was just losing so much money. I didn't know what the hell was going on, and I wasn't telling anyone about it. It was just like mine and my cousin's little secret. And it was just one day, I think it was a couple months before we hit or we dropped from 6K down, like on one of those dead cat bounces.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, dude, like I can't do this. I need to figure out what we're doing in this space, and I need to study it as much as I can. And so I just figured, like, if I'm going to trade alts, because I thought that's what you do, like everyone's a trader, everyone wants to make money. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to be a trader and I'm going to trade alts, then I better find out like what Bitcoin's about. And so I just went down the Bitcoin only rabbit hole and was like, okay, I need to understand Bitcoin so that I can compare altcoins to it. And then once I went down that rabbit hole, it was like, oh yeah, altcoins are shit, and nothing compares to Bitcoin. And I just like came full circle again on why I was in this space. And it was like, oh my god, like my professor was telling me all this back in the day, and it just like went in one ear and out the other, but it like kind of stuck around. And I was like, all right, well, I know we have a bad hand, but I didn't have any solutions to it until I found Bitcoin, and then went down the whole Bitcoin rabbit hole. And I'm like, oh my god, like these guys have figured it out. Like they it's not a conspiracy theory like I thought it was. It was just like, oh, this is real. And I just haven't popped out. I've watched hours of podcasts from Tales from the Crypt and Stefan Livera and Noted Podcast and Trace Mayer and all those guys. Like I swear those guys changed my life, because up until then I was just delusional, just lost, completely lost. And I always have this joke that I kill a bunch of versions of myself off over the years. So like, there's a lot of dead different versions of me, and that's just all part of the journey. I feel like we always say Bitcoiners are on that hero's journey. And yeah, Bitcoin changes you more than you change it. And I'm just glad to be here. I'm grateful to be here. And I think this is the best thing to be doing on planet Earth right now. Like, there's nothing better to be doing than to be a humble shit poster on Twitter, stacking your sats for the familia. Like, that's what we do.
That's fantastic. I want to go back to something that you said way at the beginning when you were getting into your like conspiracy theories, before
Oh,
Bitcoin and everything like that, and this philosophy teacher. So it's kind of interesting, right? Because you feel like you're learning this secret and that you're the only one, and it's because there's so few people that are exposed to thinking critically and to actually examining what they're thinking,
yeah,
that you know what I mean? Like, you don't end up
yeah.
meeting those people. And interestingly enough, in Bitcoin, I find more and more of these people are like out of the woodwork. Like, I meet so many more people that think outside the box in Bitcoin than I
Yeah.
ever have anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I totally agree.
Without a doubt. Like, I've always thought I've been the eccentric one out of my friends, but like some of our friends on Bitcoin Twitter are wild, and then like I love these guys. They're wild,
They're the best.
especially like, I mean, and it's organic how, I'm considered a taco pleb, and like I just happen to fall in with these guys because we're all just the same. We just like, we love Bitcoin, and we talk a little shit and we have fun, and we're just like, we're all batshit crazy, but we all enjoy this, and it's like it's the best thing to do. And yeah, I don't know. Like, shout out to all the taco plebs out there,
Yeah,
man.
that's right. Shout out to the Taco Pleb Maxis. That's awesome. Um, okay, so I want to go back to there was one point you were discussing there about when you were shitcoining. So I remember when I was shitcoining at first, like I didn't quite get it right. Like I saw these shitcoins and I had unit
Yeah.
bias, right?
Yep.
Because I figured
Yep.
out that with so much money, I could have so much more. Like you, okay.
Yeah.
I started off with a stack, and by the time I finished, I definitely had way less than I started with of BTC. Okay, like no matter what I did.
Yeah.
And one thing I learned while we were crashing is the compression that occurs, because there's not only the loss of value in the altcoin, but then the other thing that the altcoin suffers, because in that case it's tethered to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So as the Bitcoin price drops, you're suffering the underlying currency itself dropping in price. So the
Yeah.
Bitcoin price was dropping, and your shitty alt, which was already worthless, is now like even more worthless. Like
Yeah.
it's like it was total like I called it like it was like failure compressed, you know? Like it was so
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I not only like tried to trade shit coins, like I went so far and was so noobish that I was trying to use these utility coins. Like, I make
Oh
music,
yeah.
and I was trying to blog and all that, and like, so I'm not even gonna name them, but I fell for like the decentralized YouTube stuff and all that, and like went down the whole rabbit path, and like was on those sites trying to work them. And then you start realizing, like liquidity problems and network effects and all this stuff that like you don't even think about at first, because you're just like, oh, I'm gonna make money. And that's like what most people come in. They're like, oh, the gains. But I just happened to be lucky that I had some kind of like knowledge, or some kind of basis to understand what might be actually happening in the grand scheme. And there's just something inside of me that's like, dude, like there's something here, you need to figure this out. And yeah, the shit coins just weren't working for me. And then I came back to Bitcoin and started studying, and was like, oh, I see, like everything is just an affinity scam. Like all our boys on Twitter are just like, being toxic assholes, and everyone's losing it about it. And I'm sitting there and like, well, maybe these guys are, angry for a reason. Like,
Yeah.
maybe they're saying all this stuff and they're just not caring at all because they're true. And so I just kind of followed these guys that were like going in on people on Twitter, and I was like, all right, well, let me try to figure out what they were saying. And you know, they popped me out of the hole. Like
Yep.
I joke around and I'm like, yeah, I went full woke and then I woke up. And it was like, yup, like that's how it is.
I do have to admit, like at first, right? So even myself, of course, like you, I got drawn into like shitcoin Twitter, like or altcoin Twitter, where you're sitting there and you're having all these conversations, and it's fine and dandy, and every once in a while you see a Bitcoin maximalist pop in and explain to you why your shitcoin case doesn't work. And I remember, like, you'd see that happen, and like I'd look at it and I was like, you know what? I don't know any better to tell him that he's wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
But to your point, I want to go back to something that you said about like Bitcoin being the MySpace. So I have to admit, that was the bullshit narrative that got me to walk away from Bitcoin. That was the BS narrative that got me to walk away and buy shitcoins, because what was it? Somebody had explained to me that like Bitcoin was like, that's it, it's 10 years old. Like, that's it. The
Yep.
technology for it is old. Like
Yep.
now there's newer, there's faster, it can do so much
Yep.
more. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, you know what, as a person who knows technology, I'm like, okay, you know what? They do have a point. But
Yeah.
what it is that they're not letting you, it's, you're forgetting about, and you said it yourself, why did I come here in the first place?
Exactly.
Like you're like,
Exactly.
they're not showing you, like, they're having you watch this hand, like
Yeah.
instead of what's really going on. And what's really going on is, I'm here for the sound money. So
Yeah.
so if you always go back to I'm here for the sound money, then you destroy those use cases.
Oh, 100%. And I had that moment where I was like, it was like the dark night of the soul. I was sitting there and losing money and I guess slightly depressed and I didn't even know it. And I'm like looking at all the shitcoiners shilling their shitcoins and just like being complete utter idiots. And I was just as dumb, and I'm like trying to learn how to TA and do like, everything you think you need to do to make money in this space, only to find out in like 6 months that you're just losing money. And so you're like, okay, like I need to fix this. And I'm just lucky that I stuck around. Like my my cousin that I got in with, he's like not even in the space. He still thinks that I'm like part of a cult and like getting scammed. And I'm just like laughing with them. And I'm like, dude, just stack sats, dude. Like I'm telling you, bro, like stack sats. And I tell all my friends the same thing, and they all think I'm just crazy. Like
Yep.
think I joined a cult. And
Yep.
I'm like, dude, like I didn't come to this realization like easily. Like this
Yeah, no,
this
this was not
wasn't an
easy.
easy path to get here. Like it took a lot of hours, and it took a lot of reflection, and it took a lot of like, self-doubt and thinking you're crazy, and then like getting destroyed on Twitter, and just
Mm-hmm.
like it took a lot to get here. And so I kind of take offense sometimes when these shitcoiners are like, oh, you're stupid, like you don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, dude, like I put my hours to get here. Like you should too. Maybe you'll come to the same realization. But I usually just troll people because it's easier and funner. But like we'll get better at that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, like, look, we've followed each other now for quite a while on Twitter. Like, I don't consider myself such a nasty troll. I'm definitely, I'm definitely, I think, softer than most. And you, it's kind of interesting, right? Because your picture is like, the kid with the Bitcoin logo in his eye, and like, so you have this like cute little picture, and then below it is somebody telling you why your shitcoin's not gonna work. So you're just like, you're not expecting that,
Well, I stole the little kid idea from VJ. I don't
It's
know,
just
sometime in
brutal.
2018. Yeah, sometime in 2018, they were like, we should all put our little kid photos, and like that's an actual photo of like me when I was a little kid, and I just kind of like put all the shit coins that I had and that I was like at the time dumping, and I was like, oh, like it's gonna be a perfect Abby. Like I had a cup, I'm in the ocean, like I'm gonna just dump all the shit coins and just put like, and I'm winking in the photo, and I'll put the the Bitcoin logo on my eye, and I'm like, yep, like wink, like I got Bitcoin in my eye, and then like fuck all the shit coins, and then like I don't know, I just kind of like the Abby now. It's like it's part of the part of the scene.
I love it. So let's go back to something though that a tweet that you put out a couple of days ago, because I yeah, definitely I have to I think the listeners are going to want to know. So what is the how were you red pilled by Dave Chappelle? And just for disclosure, I mean, I obviously love Dave Chappelle. Totally missed the Chappelle show. Rest in peace, Charlie Murphy, of course.
Oh man!
But yes,
dude.
Please tell us.
All right, well, Dave Chappelle is like, he's my dude. I forget when Chappelle show came out, but I'm pretty sure I was in like middle school, and that's all me and my friends would watch. We'd go home, watch Chappelle show, and literally just like talk the same shit that Dave Chappelle would talk to ourselves. And we were like 13, 14, 15, like not knowing what he was saying, but we knew he was saying something that was, we knew he was like aware or woke or whatever you want to say. And we're like Dave knows what's going on. And I've always been one of those guys that like is into comedians. Like I like Richard Pryor and George Carlin. And so I have that theory where like only comedians can really tell you the truth because they make you laugh. And it's so like, I guess that's kind of, what I do. I just talk shit and hopefully make people laugh, but also, be truthful about it. And because sometimes, you tell people the truth nicely and they're like, yeah, okay, anyways. But like, if you make them laugh in a way where you're kind of making fun of them and you get to a point, like a focal point, they're like, oh, well, maybe he's got a point. So yeah, I definitely went down, the red pill rabbit holes from Dave Chappelle. And like, I'm really into hip hop. So I love Tupac. And growing up, that's like what I listened to is Tupac and watch Dave Chappelle show. So like, I guess I've always been one of those fuck the man kind of dudes, and like something's wrong with our society, but not knowing what it was. And so it's just been a long journey of, trying to figure out what the actual problems are and how I can live better. And Dave just always made me laugh. Like I still listen or watch Dave Chappelle shows, and I reference them to this day, and people like don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, dude, like you never watched Dave Chappelle? Like what's going on with you, man? So yeah, I don't know. I just love Dave Chappelle.
I was going to say, he's amazing. I don't like, I mean, for me, like I'm older than you are. I'm 40. So like I was watching Dave Chappelle much later on. And like, it was obviously some of the most amazing stuff. And I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, they're getting away with saying this on TV.
Yeah, exactly. Like I joke now, is like, imagine if Dave Chappelle was on TV now, like people would lose their, like, oh my God, the we hear from politicians and celebrities now. It's like, oh man, if they only knew Dave Chappelle, like, so he'd still get backlash.
So is that why you always write re?
Oh, I just like re. I don't know. I stole that from someone on Shitcoin Twitter. They like complain, and the re is just like, a pig squeal. Yeah, I just love re. I think it's funny, dude. Re, like anytime I mess up, it's a re. Like that's just
it is. It's so
even
funny.
Even in real life, I'm like re. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. Like
just screwing up here. It's all
yeah,
good.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all good. Just living.
All right, so something maybe a little, I guess, non-Bitcoin related. Okay.
All right.
If you had like some books or something that you would want like listeners, because like for me it's like, I've gotten plenty of people into Bitcoin, and that's perfectly fine. But I believe I've never gotten any of them to come in by the same way that I have. Like none of the people that I've brought into Bitcoin see it the way that I do.
Yeah.
None of them really like. It's not as deep. Like for them, every single one I've seen, sees it strictly as an investment and doesn't understand what it means, philosophically, what it means for their day-to-day life. Like, it's like, for me, it's, like, I get that we can make a lot of fiat money with this, and that's all fantastic. But for me, it's, I guess I see it more as like, one day, a person possibly not having to, toil in the way that they toil today for the same amount of money, and being able to actually hold on to that value that they've poured their sweat and tears into. It's that chance. And I feel there's a lot of people that I've brought in that don't see it in that way, right? They're looking at the here and now, and I get that, right? Because we're humans and we all have material desires. But anyways, I guess my point is, like, how do you, about like some of the people that you've brought in, how do you feel like, what I guess, like, what reading material would you give them before you'd give them Bitcoin?
Yeah, I usually lately I kind of just been sending my friends like podcasts, because I don't know,
good idea.
I don't really want to, tell them to go read a book and be like, yo, read like 300 pages and come back to me and buy some Bitcoin. It's like, that's not going to work. So I figured if I just give them like, a 30-minute or an hour podcast, just to like get some kind of tendrils in their brain, so they can be like, start thinking and understanding like where we're going. And lately I really like the what's it, episode 71 from Stefan Livera, the Intro to Austrian Bitcoin Thought. I've been sharing that one around. I like a few from Trace Mayer's Bitcoin Knowledge podcast. So there's one called like Bits, Blocks, and I forget what the title is, but it's like Bits, Blocks, and something. I'll link it to you. And it kind of just goes through like the story in a quick synapse of what Bitcoin's trying to do, and it has Trace like saying the good word, but it's got like a little part in there that's like a little iffy, but it's still like enough historical context for most people to understand like what we're doing over here, and how having an internet money's like a really huge thing. But then really like my favorite ones lately, which I think like can hook more people, is the Trace Mayer Saifedean Amos series, the one on his Bitcoin Knowledge podcast. He just did it, and it's about like time preference and about how society builds if they're able to save. And to me lately, that's been like the biggest thing for me, is being able to save. Like I come from family of self entrepreneurs and self-employed business people, and so I've seen them all struggle to save money and to build something. And so like they all basically live, paycheck to paycheck, and it tears me apart, because like we're all working our asses off and we can't save money. And then once you realize that you're basically getting robbed from your money, you get even more angry, and then you realize there's no solutions, and you're like, wow, like this really sucks. And then now that we have, the ultimate savings vehicle, which is Bitcoin, it's like, I tell everyone, I'm like, dude, stack sats. Like, what my latest tweet right now is, I've been trying to meme, but it's really just for me. It's stack sats, stay humble, enjoy life. It's simple. Like I just been saying that to everyone, like just stack sats, stay humble, enjoy life. Like it's a simple process, because we all want to complicate it. Like we all want to trade, we all want to lend, we all want to do all this crazy stuff with our Bitcoins, because we don't know how actual money works. And so we have to do all these different things to make sure our money saved its value. And it's like, man, just like keep it simple, stupid, like just stack sats and enjoy life. Like, you can, and I'll tell you, like, you can buy 9,000 sats for $1, dude. Like you can buy it $1 at a time, like just stack them. And everyone's like, dude, shut up. And I'm like, all right, dude, like I'm just trying to help you out. Just enjoy life a little more, but I'm the crazy one. So here we are.
I was going to say, you know what? Like time is either going to prove us right or prove us horribly wrong. But you know what? At the very least, okay, the Bitcoin was introduced the way that Hayek would have wanted. Okay, it was introduced into the system in a sly roundabout way.
Yep.
Okay, and it's given us a way to maybe take this back. So
Yeah.
so hopefully we don't screw ourselves over, because I
Ooh.
think only we can screw this up.
Oh,
Like
big facts.
it's like Bitcoin's doing what it's doing, whether we, you know what I mean? Like whether we're with it or not. But like if we screw it up and somehow let it die or whatever it is and not become what it's meant to be, like that's our fault, because you know what I mean? Like everybody, like it's like that's how I think that's how people end up becoming Bitcoin evangelists. Like you go out there and like you spread the word because you're just like, you know what I mean? Like you can't, you need to let everybody know that they have access to it.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
that's the key, you know? But it's funny, right? You know, like because how many times have you heard the story of it's oh well, the government doesn't insure it.
Yeah.
It's like, so because we don't understand how money works and because we just take it for granted that the government issues money, then it's just automatic that the government is going to insure it, and it's just, so all we're doing is like offsetting that responsibility.
Yeah,
You know?
I 100%. It's like before I even like dawn myself, the toxic maximalist, I was being introduced to like Jordan Peterson's extreme ownership, and so
Oh yeah.
like that really had an effect on me, because I felt like I was one of those persons that would only, take so much responsibility and be like, oh, like I don't need to worry about politics. I don't need to worry about, what's going on in the financial world, because like it doesn't affect me. Like those, it's completely a totally different world. And now it's like, oh, well, actually, like if you do that, then that's kind of why you're in the situation you're in, is because you're just giving away all your responsibility for someone else to do what's good with your life. And so I got around to this whole extreme ownership, and it's like, oh, like, yeah, I don't like someone telling me what to do. Like, and I don't like to tell people, that they're living their life wrong. And so I'm gonna just take ownership for what I can in my life and be the best that I can. And part of that was just studying and, like chiseling away the marble from the statue of David, until you get to this point where you're like, oh yeah, like stack sats and stay humble. And it's like, I went through a lot of roadblocks to get here, and like I overcome some big things in my life, I feel, and in my Bitcoin life, that like have transformed me and formed me into a better person in less than a year. And I'm like, wow, like this is some amazing stuff, and like just keep hitting me in the veins, man, because this is some good stuff right here. Like like this is good, man. And so like I swear I've just been thriving since I've met, you guys all on Bitcoin Twitter and the taco plebs and stuff. And I know sometimes we get really toxic, but like we're it's tough love. Like I've always grown up with tough love. I have older brothers, and like I used to get beat up to like, and that's the only way they'd show love. And so like tough love, I think, is the best way to learn, because, you have to experiment and you have to fail, and you need to try things on yourself and experiment and, like lose a lot of money and,
Get
figure,
wrecked.
yeah, get wrecked. Like the reckoning is real.
Oh.
I wish we could save everyone. And like, we
won't.
always have, we have arguments on Twitter with people like, dude, we know we can't save people, but like, at least we're going to try. At least we can, be like, yo, like Bitcoin is it, there's no alternative, like it's only Bitcoin. And, like just be smart about it. And, like, okay, you're not going to listen. Well, have fun, get wrecked. I'll be here when you're done. Like, cause I can't go away, man.
There's so I've on Twitter I found like there's like two kinds, right? Like you've got people that go in, they get wrecked, and they walk away.
Mm-hmm.
They're done. You know what I mean? Like that's it. That's all it took.
Yeah.
But then you have the rest of us that get wrecked, and then we decide, why did I come here in the first place?
Yep.
Like it's I went through the same thing as you. Like I sat there with like less than half my stack left, and I'm like, why did I come here again? Like I know that I didn't come here doing this. Like I came here, like I came to Bitcoin with, through the use case. You know, so
Okay.
for me, like, I didn't even look at it as an investment until one of my friends noticed that the what was it? I sent him like $5 worth of Bitcoin that became like $35 or something,
Oh,
because
okay.
that's like back when, like, it was like in
Uh,
2016 at some point. Like, you know, like, I had no idea that it was, you know, that was going to happen. So it's like, and then all of a sudden I found the shitcoin casino. So to your, you know, to your point, it's just like, yeah, man, you know, you've got to get wrecked. Like, you get
or
wrecked and then you learn.
yeah, or you're the lucky few that we know that are
Ah,
just like
yes, the
we
unicorns.
yeah, we can't all be blessed like, our Austrian friends over there that just get Bitcoin from the start, but I wish I were, dude. I
You
wish
know,
I were.
you know what? You know what's really sad? You know what's really sad? Knowing that you knew that money was fake and that you didn't get Bitcoin. Like that,
I
and I'm not
know.
saying that to you. I'm saying that, like, me too. Like,
Yeah.
I knew, like, when I was like 15 years old, which is like, you know, 25
A
years
while
ago.
ago.
So it's like 25 years ago I knew that money was fake, and I
Yeah.
still didn't get Bitcoin when I was supposed to.
Yeah, man. Like
So,
I honestly I almost completely forgot about the whole, banking and fractional reserve and OPEC and the petrodollar. Like all that, it was like a good story that someone told me. And it was a story like my professor had this big old long story about it was essentially about the what's it, Cantillon effect. And
Cantillon effect?
but he
I can never
yeah,
pronounce that right.
yeah, me neither. But he would call it he would put it in a way where he would call the people close to the money as Rocky and his friends. So he would always be like, "Oh, Rocky and his friends, control the banks and they control the military and they control the financial world." And he would link this all together, and he would show you, how the banking families were connected, and financial, corporations were all connected. And he would just always be like, Rocky and his friends control everything. And so he made this whole spiel about Rocky and his friends and how, fractional reserve banking is all funny money. And this was me in college, and I was a little kid, and I was trying to learn as much as I learned. And then, I got introduced to all the intellectual traps of, a Western socialist education. And so, I forgot all about it, and I just went into the real world and, like avoided a job as much as possible because it all seemed meaningless. And I was super pessimistic and cynical, and like, yeah, I didn't see any reason to partake in the system that we had. And so I was just floating by, and I live in a very beautiful beach town. So I'm like, yo, like, I'm gonna just go to the beach and, enjoy life and like forget all this other stuff. And then you realize like, oh shit, like I actually kind of have to work and make money and, like survive and make a living. And like, I'm getting older, like I need to do something. And then you hear like, oh, Bitcoin just hit 10K and, everyone's getting rich but you. And you're like, okay, well, let me throw all the money I've ever saved, which isn't that much, but like, let me just dump it into this freaking casino because it's exploding. And you just, yeah, you learn lessons. And like, I like to say, because I feel like I've encountered every type of scammer in this space. And so like I've been wrecked by every type of scammer in the Bitcoin space. And so I'm always telling my friends and people who listen, like, dude, like, this is not a cheap lesson. I'm telling you, like, this is 100 million sat lesson that I'm telling you. Like, I lived this, like I gave up a Bitcoin. Like I tweeted, it's like, I gave up a Bitcoin for this conviction. Like you can have it for a lot cheaper. And so it's like, or maybe you can't, like,
I don't think they can. I think that's why
yeah,
they say that. You know what? Like, you know, I think Mr. Hoddle said it. You know, like, you're gonna get wrecked.
yeah.
You know, and like, it is the only way to learn, because
Hey
otherwise
man.
you think it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like you don't realize what you have until it's gone. It's a cliche saying. So you
But it's
really
true.
like, it's the truth. It's what's the other one? It's nothing new under the sun. So
That's
like
right.
humans are learning the same lessons over and over and over again, but we just are so short-sighted we forget about them. But like you have to learn them for yourself. Like no one can tell you what you know. And so, like, hopefully you don't have to get wrecked and lose your sats, those precious sats, but like you probably do. And, hopefully we can save you, quote unquote, save you on Twitter by talking our shit and, telling you that you're investing in trash, or, it's a safer bet to just avoid everything and just stack sats and stay humble. And it's like, no one's going to listen, but like, we're going to say it anyways, because we've been through it. And, it hurts seeing, like people lose their life savings in a shitcoin. And then you see them, like crying about it on Twitter. And then you see shitcoiners like laughing about it. And it's like, oh, they were so dumb. And you're like, dude, like, wow, for sure. Like, hey man, like do you, but I'm not down with that. Like, I don't, I'm not cool with scammers scamming everyone. And so like when I see a scammer on my Twitter, I just go in because like it's personal, I guess, like it shouldn't be personal, but it's like it hurts me to see other people get scammed. And so I guess that's probably why I fell in with the toxic taco plebs, because those guys, some of those guys are savage and I love it.
Oh yeah.
Like I can't, like, I'm pretty savage in my real life. So like, that's kind of why, my Twitter's the way it is. But like, there's some points where I'm like, oh shit. Like, they don't give a fuck.
No, it's like, I would never say that stuff, but there you go.
Hey, but I'm gonna like it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna like it. I might retweet it, but not saying it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, honestly, like, I think Bitcoin Twitter is the best Twitter, and I only got Twitter because of Bitcoin, and so I did the whole shitcoin Twitter, and man, it's atrocious. Like I'll still get a little bit of the shitcoin Twitter on my feed, but like, man, it just hurts seeing all those people in those threads. Man, they're so clueless, but also like so filled with hopium and that they're going to get rich. And it's like, man, like we all want to get rich, like everyone wants to make money, but like there's a certain point where you can't just make money off the backs of someone. Like I can't live with that. And so I'm all about making an honest dollar, and, like I'll work a normie job to stack sats. It's changed my life. Before stacking sats, I hated working. I thought it was pointless. And now it's like, I'm stacking sats today, dude. Let's get her done. And it's dude, it's weird. Bitcoin changes you more than you change it. Like the meme's real, dude. Meme magic is real, guys.
It is. It totally is. And Bitcoin has the best memes.
Dude, we do. Dude, some of these meme lords are savants over there, bro.
Oh yeah.
They're wild. Like I love it. I'm trying to step my meme game up. I'm not gonna lie. I got to catch up.
It's okay. It's okay. You got the right space. You got the right space to do it in.
Right.
So hey, look, if people want to get in touch with you on Twitter, I mean, I'm gonna put your handle in the show notes anyways. But what other besides Twitter? Well, give your Twitter handle, but if there's any other way.
Yeah, I mean, I think Twitter is probably the best place to find me.
Cool.
But if you are on Telegram, join the Bitcoin Plebs Telegram groups, and that's where we're doing all our talking, and that's probably where I'm at. The Bitcoin Pleb group and Twitter, best place to find me.
Cool. And what's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter is @mylivingtruth. So it's MY_living without the G. So LIVIN_truth.
Cool.
It's a bit much.
No, not at all, man. So look, thank you very much for coming on and doing this with me. This was really cool. It's super nice to meet you.
Hey, you too. I'm humbled and, proud to be here, dude. I love all you guys. You guys are all the dopeness. I swear it.
Cool, man. You're awesome. So I'll catch you soon.
Hey, peace out, Coin Icarus.
Peace.
So I hope everybody enjoyed that interview with My Living Truth. I'm going to be posting his contact details in the show notes. And if anybody wants to reach me, you can find me on Twitter or Telegram. I'm @CoinIcarus. And if you want to send me an email, I'm funwithcrypto@protonmail.com.
Thank you all for listening, and catch you all next time.